So you've decided you want to direct different traffic to your GitHub repository. Most likely you want to send people to your GitHub with a call to action to give you a star. So what happens after that? Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nevo. For those of you who don't know me, I usually talk about tech, marketing, and open source. Today we're going to talk about what happens after people land on your GitHub. So it really depends about your repository, and it really depends about what is the business. So there is different type of open source repository. Each repository has a different way of dealing with users. Some of them is like Next.js, so it's literally installing on your computer. Some of them are like Novu, which is a whole full stack application that you deploy on your computer or use the cloud. So the question is, what are your options here? So the first option, if you have a cloud, that's usually the easiest one. That's what we had in Novu, right? Because people just go to your cloud, they register, and now you have their name, their last name, and their company, and that's perfect. But what happens when you don't have a cloud? What happens if people just land on your GitHub, they install your repository, whatever's on it, and then what? Who are they? What are their plans? Are they going to pay you? There's many unknowns. And usually I get a lot of backlash when people talk about stars because what can we learn from this entire process? So there's a few steps of things that you can do. One of them is to use a software like Common Room. It's kind of like a CRM for developers. So you basically can connect it to your GitHub, Discord, whatever. It will cross-reference everything possible about the user from Discord, GitHub, Slack, any other channels that you have. And it will tell you everything is possible about this user, what company they come from, who they are, where are they in the world. Like really a very good CRM with enrichment. But the problem usually with this kind of things is that a lot of people acting on behalf of themselves and not behalf of the company. And so you might see somebody coming from Microsoft, but actually they are not planning to implement this for Microsoft. They just have some project they are working on. So what can you do? The first thing that I like the best is a waiting list. Waiting list works really good. We've tried to do this with multiple companies. It always works amazingly. We just plan like a very viral launch and then we put a CTA in the GitHub, also on the website, of join our waitlist, or even better, apply to join our waitlist to make it more prestige. And when you make something like that, you can start to ask people some serious questions, like, of course, email, name, and so on. But what is your use case? What company are you working for? Are you working for behalf of yourself or behalf of the company? You can start to ask very interesting questions and get a lot of information and contact these people. Now, what you can also do is put urgency and scarcity. And many kind of marketeers will tell you there is no such thing as scarcity and urgency in open source, but I think they are wrong. What we've done in our launch, we said, apply to join our waiting list. This is the date that the waiting list is going to be closed. And also we are just giving it to the first 100 people. So we have the scarcity for the number of people and we have the urgency to take action because they don't have a lot of time. The thing is that when you do something like this, you have to keep your promise. You can just put something like that and then keep on running this every week because people will not trust you. And even when you contact them, they will not answer you. So I would do two things. The first one, yes, definitely put the apply to the join the waitlist with urgency and scarcity on your GitHub for one specific launch. But the second thing, I would put another CTA over the website or somewhere else with apply for something else, not the same thing that runs all the time in the background. Because you really want to create this huge FOMO on the GitHub on the one hand, but on the other hand, you still want to keep on generating leads all the time with your other visitors. Another cool way to generate leads usually is the newsletter. That's usually the one that I'm using for Gitroom. But the problem with the newsletter that a lot of people not making it so visible, they don't put it on the top of the website. It's just floating at the bottom. I think that's a mistake, especially if you don't have some kind of cloud or something to lead gen the people that comes in. The thing about newsletter is that you need to send at least one newsletter a month for people. If not, they'll think that you are spamming them if you just like after half a year decide to send one newsletter. So make sure you do something monthly. And if you don't have big updates, at least with the changelog, because almost any active GitHub repository has a changelog. I can tell you that the worst thing that you can do is only get stars without measuring anything else. And the last thing is, of course, Discord. I'm not a huge fan of Discord in terms of engagement because a lot of people, they join your Discord, but if they don't click on the channel again, they will not get your attention. And the thing about email is that it's really hard to avoid an email. like a newsletter. So of course put Discord as a secondary CTA, but really make sure you are converting people to something. I can tell you that we had a few launches that we generated more than 100 leads in 1 week. Each one of them had very good companies that we contacted. So please do yourself a favor, spend a little bit more time, use Google Forms, whatever, start to lead gen people because you're really wasting your time just for stars. And to know how to make a very good launch, go and watch my previous video on how we got Wing 400 stars in 3 days.